Talking to my friends who are into this music listening hobby, there seems to be a lot of interest on CDs and CD players nowadays. Maybe because some of audio equipment reviewers find that CDs on most cases sound better than music streaming. So I thought of recommending a few CDs to listen to and use as a test CD when you audition audio equipment. I bought a book on 2008 titled VH1’s 100 Greatest Albums. This book was published on 2003. Reading through the introduction of the book, it doesn't really specifically say from what era to what era VH1 is referring to. VH1 sent ballots out to over 700 musicians from Art Garfunkel to Britney Spears, songwriters, disc jockeys, radio programmers, and critics to vote on the 100 greatest albums of rock and roll. So I'm assuming this is the list of greatest albums from whenever the first album or record was made until when these people made their votes. Anyway, on 2008, CDs were still the thing when it comes to listening to albums, and I got obsessed with collecting the albums on this list. I ended up owning 30 of these 100 greatest albums in CD format and then started collecting albums in vinyl when I got the chance to purchase a turntable, and I still am not done collecting. I have collected more than 300 CDs through the years, and having 30 of VH1's greatest albums adds some prestige to my collection, and I plan to add more. So I made a list of 5 CDs that I own that is on this greatest album list, which I think are great records and I will recommend to use when auditioning audio equipments. The first on my recommended album list is Abbey Road by the Beatles. It's number 8 on the list. This album was originally released by Apple Records in 1969. Writer Joe S. Harrington wrote, "Arguments prevail as to whether it was actually too slick. It's true, the Beatles had never known such a seamless level of gloss before. The very clean production was symptomatic of the kind of ultra-professionalism that would inevitably come to dominate in the 70s. This album has one of the most iconic album cover of all time. On Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band album, many people said they could hear John Lennon saying, 'I buried Paul.' So when Abbey Road was released in 1969, the public were looking for hidden messages as well. So the Paul is dead rumors continued, mostly because he was crossing outside the Abbey Road studios with bare feet and with his right leg forward in contrast to the other Beatles' left legs being forward. Lennon symbolizing the priest, Ringo the undertaker, and George the gravedigger. The thing I like most on this album is the seamless transition between songs. That transition from Carry That Weight to the song The End is what most bands and artists try to emulate on their own albums but never quite really get. The songs on this album are great on their own, but being part of this album makes them magical. I get giddy when I listen to this album. Number 2 is Moondance by Van Morrison. It's number 32 on the list. This album was released by Warner Brothers on 1970. Writer Joe S. Harrington said on the book, "It was also the album that established Morrison as an FM radio staple in the early 70s with songs like Moondance, Caravan, and Into the Mystic." I have a lot of favorite moments on this album. The piano playing on the song Moondance, it's fantastic. I feel like I want to do some tap dancing while listening to it. That saxophone playing at around 2-minute and 30-second mark was excellent. And feel Van Morrison's gentle singing on the song Crazy Love, and you should hear clearly the ladies back up singing on your hi-fi system. Watch out for someone suddenly joining him on singing on the song Caravan at around 4:20 mark. Guitar playing on this song is also fantastic. And of course, the song Into the Mystic. Every time I hear this song, I have to stop doing whatever I'm doing and start slow dancing by myself. Third is Blue by Joni Mitchell. Number 14 on the list. This album was originally released by Warner Brothers in 1971. The writer Mimi O'Connor writes, "No doubt, the album's universal themes are why you can meet people whose copies of Blue are a testament to the recording industry's technological advancements, and by default, the album's longevity. They own it on LP, on cassette, and on CD." I have this album on HD CD. Microsoft discontinued the official HD CD website in 2005. My favorite song on this album is River, which is often thought of as a Christmas song. All the songs here makes you want to listen to her story, as Johnny Mitchell tells it. Her voice is so engaging and expressive that a good sound system will bring that out together with the great acoustic instruments playing. A little trivia. The songs on this album feature simple accompaniments on piano, guitar, and Appalachian dulcimer. James Taylor is playing the guitar on songs California, All I Want, and A Case of You. My fourth favorite CD from VH1's greatest albums is Grace by Jeff Buckley. It's number 73 on the list and originally released by Columbia on 1984. Writer Heather Stass quote, "I had no idea what I was getting into. The moment the CD began, a chill ran through my body as I heard his voice signaling the start of Mojo Pin. I needed to stop breathing just to hear Hallelujah in complete silence." I would say I love every minute of this album, and I will give you some of my favorite moments. That slow building crescendo on the song Lilac Wine before Jeff Buckley whispers the song title. And the way he sings this is where you can hear so much pain. That exhale at the start of Hallelujah kick you off on your journey to this song. And basically every time he utters the word Hallelujah, almost in different ways throughout the song. There are 10 songs on this album and all of them for me are great. To be honest, I don't agree on its rank on this list. Listed as 73, I will say it should at least be on the top 50. And the fifth is Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd. Number 51 on the list, this album was originally released by Capitol on 1973. On the book, the writer Eric Waibenga said, "For years I've been arguing that Dark Side of the Moon is the best rock album ever, with the emphasis on album. Because while there are a few albums that contain more and better individual songs, with Dark Side of the Moon, Pink Floyd produced a fully realized coherent work of art. As such, it is about perfect." Another one of the most iconic album cover of all time. The designer of the cover, Storm Thorgerson, said, "The prism was a way to talk about the fact that this band will do light and sound at their shows." I have this album on SACD. Man, I feel that I don't need to tell you what my favorite song is or my favorite moments on this album. If you have heard this album before, you will know why I'm recommending this album. If you have not listened to this album yet, go on and listen. I will just say the first time I heard a great gig on the Sky on a very good audio system, I was startled. I like to recommend that you guys own this album in vinyl as well. Listening to it on vinyl is a different experience for me. And that's the 5 CDs that I would recommend from VH1's greatest albums list. There's so much more albums on this list that you should try out and you might like more to use as a test CD. I'm recommending these CDs not just because they are great albums, but it's the kind of record that will be great to hear on a great hi-fi system. You can use them for auditioning components or just basically for appreciating your hi-fi system. I mean, if you're auditioning audio equipment, might as well enjoy the music, right? You might find things which to agree and disagree on my picks and the stuff that I said, but perhaps it will encourage you to make a list from your own greatest album collection. Let me know in the comments your own picks. Shout out to the authors of the book VH1's 100 Greatest Album for putting together a very engaging and inspiring book to all of us music lovers. I made this video to hopefully introduce you to great albums you may have missed and have not heard, or just to get you to hear these old favorites with fresh ears. Happy listening!